I'm going to talk about myself a little bit. I'm a software engineer, product designer, business founder. A lot of the talking that I'm going to do is a little self-congratulatory. It makes sense at the end, so I apologize for the bravado. Bear with me. So I'm from here, really small town on the coast, about 7,000 people there. I was raised by an awesome single mom, but on a single mom income. We lived in a campground one summer because we didn't have a home. It's that type of enjoyment and struggle and stress as a kid. Didn't go to college, didn't go to university, didn't do well in school, kind of hated school, probably. Who here disliked school? Yeah, okay, a couple of us. Also, at the time that I was looking at going to university, they weren't teaching anything about the internet, and I liked the internet a lot at the time, so I just skipped that whole process. I don't talk about that very much, kind of a painful, bullying and all that crap growing up. And I've changed a lot. A lot's happened since then. So in about 2007, after a lot of different adventures, I ended up at Yahoo. I ended up winning their Superstar Award for excellent contributions to the company. After that, I founded a company, an ad tech company in San Francisco called Mighty Hive, which was just named the 16th fastest growing company in the Bay Area. And I now run Retail Zipline, which I co-founded to be a 100% remote global company that's servicing some of the largest retailers in the world so they can manage their stores more effectively. I've raised venture capital from some of the most respected VCs in the Bay Area. I've taught classes on innovation at universities around the world, which is really weird when you didn't go and then you go and you stand there wondering what is really going on the other side. My net worth is now somewhere in the millions, which is a little weird to say out loud. None of that matters, and that's not what I'm here to talk about today. There's people in this room that are way more successful than I am. What I do want to talk about today is how I got from there to here and how I continue to learn as I grow. And a lot of it comes down to three external factors of books, failures, and mentors. Everyone's got lists of books, and those are really easy to come by, so I'm not going to tell you the books that I think were really impactful in my life here. And if I started going on about my failures, this would be a really long talk, so we're going to leave that out. Instead, I want to talk about mentors and people that helped me get to where I am. I've kind of always thought of myself as an independent person, and we're inundated with stories of that lone CEO taking on the world. But the reality when I look back on my 20-year career is that it was people that helped me get to where I was. People like the 12th grader who took me in as an 8th grader when I was shy and a little unconfident and helped me build confidence. The family friend who would stay on the phone for hours while I was trying to learn to build my first computer. The friend of mine who was a little more ahead in his career who would challenge me with tough questions and hard answers. More recently, I've had the pleasure of working with people like Tom Chi, the co-founder of Google X, who taught me how to solve really complicated problems with fuzzy data. Or Blake Irving, the current CEO, not the past CEO, thankfully, of GoDaddy, who taught me how to use passion to build great teams. These aren't business coaches, they're not teachers, they're not management consultants, they're just people like you and me. People willing to spend some of their time to help out a kid when he needs it. Mentorship is, I think I transposed those. Pindy, did you move my slides? One of the biggest mistakes I've ever made in my life is not asking for help when I need it. I've spent thousands of hours trying to solve problems that other people have already solved. And I guarantee you, if you look around this room, any problem you're facing has probably been solved or thought about by someone else in this room. Mentorship is not a formal training. It's not a rigorous process. Sometimes I just need someone to tell me yes in a sea of no's. Sometimes I have self-doubt and I need someone to confirm the answers that I've come up with are correct. Sometimes I do need an answer, or I need someone to point a shortcut that I'm unable to see. Other times, I just need someone on the other end of the phone while I talk to myself. It's one thing to sit here and watch a talk. It's another thing to read a book. But sitting down with someone about your specific problem and working through it can make all the world of difference. Having someone that believes in you can open doors that you didn't even know existed. So I encourage you, open up. Figure out what you need help with and find someone that can help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It's a strength, not a weakness. And also be a mentor. Use your time, your knowledge, and your energy to help other people. I guarantee you, no matter where you are in life, you have something to offer other people. Sometimes the hardest part about getting a mentor is finding out who's available. So make yourself visible. Be seen and open up. Seek out people that you can change their lives. I take my own advice, and I dedicate 4 hours a week to being a mentor. You can go to this URL and sign up to an open slot. I guarantee there's people in this room that probably have better advice than I do, but I'm here if you want it. I'll leave you with one last thought. Never underestimate the positive impact you can have on others can have on you, and never underestimate the positive contributions that you can have on others. Thank you. I think we're supposed to do questions. Yeah.
Losing my voice. You stay up there.
Okay.
I'll do the running.
Made it. It was like 24 hours of intense prep.
Was it really? Oh, okay. I was like, did it take, like, were you that nervous about presenting?
Oh, I hate talking in public.
Really? You did, he did a really good job, I thought. Any questions? I always like if someone raises their hand and asks Dave. And I see you there too. I'm going to go to you first. She was first, actually. Leave it to the female to be first.
Always.
Future is female.
So my question is around mentoring. I truly believe in it. I also moved from San Francisco, but I found it really hard in Canada to reach out to people because they don't respond. So how do you overcome that in Canada? US, I could call on anybody. It was never a problem. And I miss all my mentors, but in Canada, it's been the reverse.
Yeah, that's actually, it came up in a talk that we were having with a few people in the tech scene a couple weeks ago. And that's one of the reasons I brought it up here is a lot of people hear the bravado about San Francisco and the tech investment and all that craziness. But something that you might not hear as often is San Francisco has a real big culture of giving back. You can email anyone, and from like Ben Horowitz down to the CEO of random tech startup, and the likelihood is no matter how busy they are, they're willing to give you at least an audience, at least a few minutes, or a pointer to somewhere else. It's something I don't see as much in Vancouver, and I'd really like to encourage that. I've been in this tech scene for 20 years with Club Vibes back in '99 and 2000. And back then, there was nobody, I did not have a single friend who was in tech. I had no idea what was going on at the time. I also didn't know about the Bay Area. So I don't know the answer, other than I would encourage everyone to keep reaching out, and I would encourage everyone who gets an outreach to respond and take some of your time, because it is something that we as a community have so much potential to grow, and there's so much talent in the city. I think it's really important to open that up. That's the off button for the next speakers. Very good question. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great question. Dave?
You didn't say anything about it, but I'm curious. That single mom in Seychelles, what's her story now?
Yeah, deep. So my mom's incredible, and I won't wax too poetic on this, but I volunteer at prisons, and I work with inmates on business coaching to help them when they come out. It's way more for me, by the way. It's like super selfish because I get so much out of it. But one of the things that I realized in the prisons is that the distance between the people that I was mentoring and me was not very far. One of my best friends died of a drug overdose. Another one ended up in a psych ward. I didn't grow up in a very positive environment overall, other than my mom. And when I got out of my first mentorship session in the prison, I called my mom. It was just, it's just how amazing she was, and how that kind of saved me. That plus mentorship kind of saved me from what could have been so close to the edge. So I'm happy to say my mom is currently a mediator in BC. She consulted for the Justice Department. She's worked with the RCMP, and after my sister and I left home, she went to Royal Roads and got her master's degree, and she's doing amazing. And she is future female. She's one of the strongest people I've ever known in my life. Also a good question. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ash.
You can't go after him. Can we give him a round of applause, please? Come on, everyone, just come on.
It's the first time I've ever talked about my mom in public.
Thanks for sharing, and it was an amazing presentation. It was on point, just every slide, great. I work for a remote team as well, so I'm just going to switch the topic a little bit. Can you talk to me about? Can you talk to me about the challenges that you guys face building a remote team? I know you guys are hiring globally right now. Why'd you choose to go down that path, and do you recommend it?
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good question. And, when I was asked to speak here, I had like a list of like 50 topics, which is why it was a 24-hour rush, because I picked this topic about 24 hours ago. And remote hiring and management is one of the ones I was going to talk about. It is a blessing and a curse. And I think the tricky thing about remote is the first 5 feet feel painful, but the rest of the walk is really enjoyable. So for example, we are very good at hiring. Our onboarding process is solid, it's on point. Someone can be up and running, working with us in production code or in production customer service in like 2 days. Because we write everything. Everything is written down. It has to be, because we're remote. It's not, you don't walk into a room and you spend a week getting to know people in the office and where the coffee machine is. You get in, you read, you learn, the whole team is engaged, and you're up to speed. And I think the hardest part about hiring is not finding talent, because talent is everywhere, and I truly believe that like the future of work is to find the best talent in the world and bring it together no matter where they are. Whether they move here eventually or they stay where they are or whether you move, fine. But finding the talent globally, being able to engage it, is the way to win. So that's why I'm down that path. The hiring process itself is a lot easier in finding the talent, but the management of it means that you need to have people that are good writers. You need to have people that are good communicators. You need to have people that can think and work remotely, as opposed to people that are only productive when they're sitting in front of you, or only productive in an office, or that wait until someone gets there for them to be able to talk. And I think the filtering of that skill set is what we face more than anything else. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's essentially the rationale there. Yeah, well, so my co-founder is female, Melissa Wong. She's amazing. She lives in San Francisco, and so that's actually driving a lot of the remoteness, is my co-founder and I. Half of our team is female. I think we're about 50-50 at this point, and we range. It doesn't deserve an applause. Like, we hired the best people we could find, and they're the best. They're amazing. So the delta in age range is also from 67 down to 24, I think. Our gender diversity is high, our age diversity is high, but the really important thing is we don't, like, this is going to sound bad, but we don't care about diversity. Like, it's not
That's how it should be.
that we push. It's just
amazing.
we find the best people and we hire them, and it turns out the best people aren't all white guys. Some of the white guys are really good, not to discount them or anything. Like,
Thanks for the talk. I really enjoyed it too. Another topic switch. It's very clear that you're a pretty socially conscious person, and you've also been working in tech in the Bay Area, so I think you might have some interesting insight on this. A lot of awesome stuff has come to the Bay Area because of tech, a lot of jobs, a lot of wealth, but it has also contributed to that area being one of the ones in America with the greatest wealth or lack of wealth distribution, wealth inequality, and also the one with some of the greatest cost of housing, which, as we all live in Vancouver, we're all very well versed with. And I'm seeing the patterns in the Bay Area trickle up into Seattle, and then they're trickling up here. And I'm just curious as if there's anything we as a city, and particularly as a tech sector, can learn from the experience you've seen in the Bay Area to address some of the issues that come with a sector that has many, many high-paying jobs for a select few that can potentially displace those not within the sector itself? Sorry, that was a very long-winded
A
question.
complicated question, and I will say I am no expert on the topic. I'll wax really quickly on it because one of the reasons I moved back to Vancouver is being from here, but also the quality of life here is unparalleled. I've had the fortune of traveling all over the world, and Vancouver is amazing. And I think a fair bit of what we try and do in Canada with our taxation policies and our kind of like social progressive agenda in terms of high tax rates and paying it back into the system is valuable. This is probably a really unpopular opinion, but I'm very anti-Uber in Vancouver because I really believe in public transit here, and I think if we stop investing in things like public transit because all the wealthy people are taking private cars, then the public transit system fails when it comes to voting and referendums and all that stuff. So I would say we need cities like San Francisco in some respects because that gratuitous focus on new innovation is something that pushes society in some ways forward. And I think that we're fortunate to live in a city like Vancouver where we can kind of blend the benefits of a more lifestyle and health conscious society with the innovations that are coming from other countries. I think we all know like our housing problem here has nothing to do with a tech boom. It's like, this is a retirement city. But the incoming wealth that we're faced with and our ability to generate wealth is not going to be the same issue, just like nobody is going to be the next Hollywood. It's going to be Hollywood, and unless you're looking at Asia and India, which is entirely possible with the population changes. But New York is money, Hollywood is movie, San Francisco is tech, and here I think we have an opportunity to be a lot more culturally valuable and socially aware. So, not really an answer, but those are my thoughts on it.
Good enough. I think you did good enough. Shay, do you want to raise your hand?